morning. Welcome to episode 1. We're starting this year with episode numbers. This is episode 1 for 2024. Welcome to the Bible in Plain Sight. I'm Carol Evans. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching episode 1 today. As I thought about starting a fresh year with 2024, it made me think a lot about some of the things that we did in 2023. Our family did a lot more traveling than normal. We had so many, some of it was unexpected, some of it was planned. I did more travel for work than I usually do. Typically with work, it might be 1 or 2 trips a year, if that. Sometimes I don't travel at all. But this year was just a lot more travel for a number of different reasons. David's grandmother passed away, so we had a trip up to upstate New York with our family. We had a family vacation, went to see family over Christmas. We just had a lot of travel this year. And several months ago, I started thinking about travel in parallel to life and the different things that made it similar to me. Let me tell you what I mean. When you're traveling, I don't know about you, but I get like an excitement. I love waking up early. I way over plan and over prepare, and I usually get to the airport too early, but it's better to be early than late. So I get to the airport early, and you're going through your TSA line, and you're looking at your bag to make sure you've got your ID and your boarding pass. I check in early on the app. Like I love that part of traveling. I love the organization of it. I love the planning of it. I love it. But then, like, the favorite part is to get to your gate and start people watching. And just looking around at all the different types of people that travel, there's always a newlywed couple, like all the time. And they have their like hubby and wifey shirts on, and they're like super giddy, Then there's always a sports team that's traveling. There's always a couple of, you can see the very exhausted counselors or chaperones and the sports team. Sometimes it's like a little league team. Sometimes it's a high school or college team, but there's always a sports team traveling going somewhere. There's people that are traveling for business, and they've got their headphones in, they're trying to join a meeting, they're on the airport Wi-Fi or their phone hotspot or something. They're trying to take a business call, they're answering emails, they're working. There's those people. Sometimes I'm in that group, but most recently we're with family. There's always a family group that's traveling. The family group, that 3-year-old is probably one no away from a total meltdown. It's a little chaotic, but they're trying to have fun with it. The family travel is always a mixed bag of emotions. And then there's some people who look like they don't want to be talked to. They don't want to be bothered. They look either exhausted, they look like they have their headphones on, or they've got a hoodie on over their head, like, don't talk to me. And if there was any way for them to interact less with people or travel privately and get to a long distance quickly, they would. They don't want to talk to people. And then there's a girls group. There's always a girl travel group together, and they've been planning this trip for years. They have gone through life together. They're excited to travel. They've been planning this. There's always a girls group that's traveling. Always. And sometimes when I first started writing down different thoughts about travel and life, I was traveling for work, and I was in gate E16 in the Tampa airport, and I looked around. In this particular trip, I was on a work trip, and sometimes it can be really easy to look around and be like, man, a girls' trip looks like so much fun. One time I was traveling for work, and this grandmother was sitting beside me, and she was going to go meet one of her grandkids, and her daughter and her husband lived, I think, in England or something somewhere, and she was so excited. And she was telling everyone within 3 seats heard her story. We heard about the grandbaby, we heard about the daughter, we heard about the first grandbaby that was born. We heard the whole thing, what she was going to do when she got there. We heard the whole story a couple of times. She was great. But sitting back in a terminal and looking at everyone else's journey, it can be really easy to sit back and be like, man, I wish I had that journey. Because we're all going to the same place, and that little terminal and that gate especially in your gate, you're all going to the same place. But you're all going for different reasons, or you're all taking it. If your travel plan is different, the airport you came from was different. Maybe that's just a stopover. Maybe you're going to go somewhere else after that. But all of our travel itineraries look a little bit different, and that's okay. But I'm not in the girl trip phase of life right now. I am in the talking about a girl's trip phase of life. We talk about it. we plan it. We're a couple years out, but we talk about it. And you know what? I'm not in the grandmother stage of life. One day I will be, but I'm not right now. And when I'm traveling with the kids, it can be really easy to look at the business traveler and be like, man, what I wouldn't give for a couple of hours alone in a hotel just to work uninterrupted. But that's not the phase I'm always in. And that's not the seat I always sit in. And you know what? Today, when you're looking around at your fellow travelers, I want you to remember Ecclesiastes 3 when it says, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Every single traveler is there for a reason. And they all have their own reason. They all have their own journey. So when you pass by somebody and they look like a grouch, and they come across a little angry, you don't know what path they're walking. You don't know what grief they're trying to hold together. Just pray for them. Ask God to give them a little grace. Ask God to give them rest. And if an opportunity presents itself to show kindness, take that opportunity. Don't force it, but if God opens a door, walk through it. Sometimes those newlywed couples, those overzealously giddy people in our life, when we're going through grief, or sometimes we're not going through grief, we're going through a hectic season. And I'm like, I am chasing a 4-year-old, and we've been to the bathroom 3 times between this terminal and the other terminal. And I would love to sit there and just hold hands with my husband and talk about why I love him so much. But I'm not there right now. We're not on a romantic getaway, okay? We are just chasing kids right now. That's in the phase of life we're in. That's okay. That's all right. You know what? You don't know what grief they walk through to get to that phase of life. God is still good. He still has a purpose. To everything there is a season. There's a time to mourn and a time to dance. And for those people who are in their season of dance, rejoice with them. Some of them you do know, and you do know what they went through to get to that season of joy. And just rejoice with them. I want you to think about Philippians 1:6. When I was looking at this last night, this verse came to mind. He that hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. I don't know what you went through in 2023, but if you get to the gate and there's been an unexpected seat assignment change, I hate those. I picked that seat for a reason. Or you're asked to check your bag because it won't fit in the overhead compartment. It will fit. I promise you it will fit. That happened to us on our last trip, and they were like counting the bags, and she was like, oh, I'm sorry, we already have too many bags in. We were not even halfway loaded. And I was like, I think we can fit these. I'm pretty sure we can. Dave was like, babe, just let it go. It's fine. It's fine. But you know what? God is still good. He that hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. So with that unexpected seat change, or when you're asked to check your luggage because there's something you can't bring along that you fully intended to bring along, sometimes we have to let friendships go. Sometimes we have to let relationships go that we want to take with us into this next part of our journey. And God asks us to leave them behind. I don't know why, but He does. Just know, friends, that all things work together for good. All things. He is still good. He is still God. And He has a plan for your phase of the journey and my phase of the journey. Even if we are looking around and we're like, but that traveler's trip looks so much more exciting than mine. Maybe it is. That's okay. You don't know what was on their previous leg or what's coming up on the next leg of their trip. Just worry about your trip. Thank you so much for joining me today for episode 1. I hope you'll come back on Friday. We are going to meet a really, really special friend with an amazing testimony. I cannot wait for you to meet her, introduce you to her. I have been praying about this particular person for a long time to share her testimony, and she has graciously agreed, and I am just so thankful that you will get to meet her. Her story is one of grace and love, and I just can't wait for you to meet her. So thank you so much for joining me today for the Bible in Plain Sight. Episode 1, the first year's episode. Come back on Friday for our first testimony of grace for 2024. Thank you so much, friends. Have a great day. I'll see you again soon.